Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Let's Get Literature. I'm your host Josie Steinmetz, and today we are going to be talking about the Barack Obama acceptance speech he gave in Chicago, Illinois after he won the 2008 presidential election. Obviously a very important speech as he is the first African-American president, and he beat out Senator John McCain. We're just going to analyze and discuss that speech. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Let's Get Literature. I'm your host Josie Steinmetz, and today we're going to be talking about the Barack Obama acceptance speech he gave in Chicago, Illinois after he won the 2008 presidential election. Obviously a very important speech as he is the first African-American president, and he beat out Senator John McCain. We're just going to analyze and discuss that speech. It is important because obviously the president wants the approval of all of his constituents, all of America. He wants them to approve of him and to support him in his decisions. And obviously thinking more longer down the line, if he eventually decided to go for re-election, which he ultimately did in 2012, it would obviously be good to get the votes of those that didn't originally vote for you and want you in office, to gain their respect, their vote. Would be great for him. And he addressed those Americans that did not vote for him by saying, to those Americans who support, I have yet to earn. I may not have won your vote tonight, but I hear your voices. I need your help, and I will be your president too. He's acknowledging, it's really, really good to acknowledge, hey, I won, but not everyone wanted me here. As he said, I may not have won your vote tonight, but I hear your voices. He's acknowledging, we may not agree, but I hear what you have to say, and I'm going to acknowledge it, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to think of you too. And he wants your help. He wants you to voice your opinions when they're different than his. And he will be your president. He will do what you want him to do. He's trying already to gain the support of those who did not vote for him, which is extremely important. Throughout this entire speech, just as a whole, he says a lot of we. Like, we will defeat you. We won this. Yes, we can. His 2008 campaign slogan was yes, we can. And throughout his speech, he says it and the crowd says it back to him. And that ultimately just unites a country. America is extremely divided in the two political parties, and he's trying to unite and put everyone under the we. We can do this. We can make this better. We can build this country up. And he's really just trying to unite and give the people a sense of hope. Towards the end of his speech, he discusses a woman who is 106 years old, who got to vote for him for president. African-American, 106-year-old woman who was born a generation after slavery, and he discusses all the amazing change that she got to see throughout her lifetime. Women being able to vote, Black people being able to vote, which is something when she was born, because she was Black and because she was a woman, she was not able to vote, but she saw those amazing changes come through. He talks about how she lived during Pearl Harbor and how she saw how great our country came out of that through the unity and the fight for democracy. She lived through the 50s with Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, everyone fighting for African-American rights to be equal and not be segregated. She saw the unity come together through that. She saw Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin touched down on the moon, and then he discussed how this year she cast her vote by touching a computer screen, and that just saying how she cast her vote by touching a computer screen really emphasizes how much change. And he then goes on to discuss, America, look how far we've come, and he's just saying, look how much more further we can come in next century. He is using past experiences, a person living now, showing how much change has gone in their lifetime, to give people hope and give people the courage to find that change and to make that change and to work for that change in the next 100 years, to show, hey, if this can happen in 100 years, what else could happen in the next 100 years? He just to show people that progress can be made, and he wants to help that progress be made. At the beginning of the speech, to also emphasize how he wants to be inclusive and care about all the American citizens of all backgrounds, he talks about young and old, rich and poor, Democrat and Republican, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, gay, straight, disabled, and not disabled. He acknowledges almost every single possibility that an American citizen could be, because he wants to acknowledge all people. He wants all people to feel heard, to feel acknowledged, to feel like they matter. And at the almost very beginning of the speech, he does that because he wants everyone to listen, to everyone know that he is going to work for them and do what is best for them. Later on in his speech, Obama acknowledges the hardships going on in America now, the negatives, and that those need to be changed. He talks about the American soldiers fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, the people who live paycheck to paycheck, wondering how they're going to pay their bills or save their child's college education. And he just talks about how it's going to be tough to overcome all of this and to make this country better and to grow from these issues that Americans are living with today. And he's acknowledging that it's going to be hard, which is important because you don't want to just sugarcoat everything, because the American people know that it's not easy. But he's being real with them and saying, hey, this is going to be hard, but in the end it's going to be worth it. And he's saying it probably will take longer than my one term, but we will get there. And he's talking about how hopeful he is for that in his speech. And he later on in the speech discusses how important this election is, his presidency, his victory. But he says this is not like the change that we want. But he acknowledged this is just the beginning. He's trying to give people that motivation and that hope by saying this is just the beginning. This is just the chance for us to make that change that we want. He's saying we haven't done anything yet. No change has been made. He's acknowledging I haven't done anything. But now we can. So we have to work hard and we have to do that. He's motivating them and giving them hope that change can be made, which is so important, especially at the beginning of the presidency where you really want to start off on a good foot. In the middle of the speech, Obama acknowledges all those who helped him get to where he is now. He acknowledges his wife, his 2 children, his vice president, Joe Biden, his brothers and sisters, all of his family, all the campaign manager, anyone else who helped him along the way, which is important to acknowledge those who helped you directly. That also puts you in a really good light to the American public. And one thing that I think is amazing that he did, before he acknowledged any of those people, anyone who helped him, he acknowledged Senator John McCain. And obviously he knows so many people voted for John McCain, and those people don't want him as president. They wanted John. So he really needs to put Senator John McCain in a good light, and I think he does a very good job for this. He says, Senator McCain fought long and hard in this campaign, and he's fought even longer and harder for the country that he loves. He has endured sacrifices for America that most of us cannot begin to imagine. We are better off for the service rendered by this brave and selfless leader. Senator John McCain was a prisoner of war. You can't even imagine what that was like, what that was going through that, doing that. He fought for this country, and Obama acknowledges that he is a great person, a great American for doing so. He acknowledges that he is a great man who fought for his country and wanted to do what he thought was best for his country. And then he's discussed further on in the speech, he says that he looks forward to working with Senator McCain. He acknowledges that Senator McCain is a great man, which will definitely help him to unite the country, because almost half the country voted for Senator McCain, and to get those people behind him, to get those votes later on, it's really good to talk about Senator McCain in a good light. And one last thing that I wanted to discuss, analyze in his speech is the very beginning of his speech. His first sentences. He says, "If there's anyone out there who doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer." He obviously is pulling at the patriotism of the American people. He knows the Americans are generally a proud people, very proud to be from America, to live in a free, democratic nation. And he's showing that these people that, hey, since you voted for me, you're proving that our democracy is still here and that it still has power and that we are still the greatest country this earth has ever seen. And having that at the very, very beginning of his speech is just amazing and so powerful, and really pulls on the thing that is most important to most Americans, which is patriotism in their country. Now, obviously, after discussing and analyzing this speech, I did want to talk about the success of it and whether I believe that it was a successful or unsuccessful speech. I personally believe this was a extremely successful speech. Obviously, it is very well remembered, not just because of the historical aspect of it, as him being the first African-American president, but because it is very well-given, well-written speech. He acknowledges all Americans, those who voted for and against him, his opponent, everyone who helped him get there. He acknowledges the patriotism of his people. He gives them hope and motivation to make change. So he really is just setting himself off on a very good foot to begin his presidency. I also researched his approval rating at the very, very, very beginning of his presidency, immediately when he is sworn in, and he has a 67% approval rating at the very beginning of his presidency, which is very good. Almost 70%. Most presidencies are, like 50-50. Usually they are divided, like how our political parties are divided into half. Almost 70% is very, very good, when usually it's in the 50s. So I would say overall it is a very successful speech. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Let's Get Literature. This is your host, Josie Steinmetz. I hope you all have a great day.